evolution happens, natural selection is the primary mechanism that makes evolution happen. This is what we teach in our schools. We teach it partly because Part A is the scientifically correct and accurate view of the natural world. Part B is the reason why A is correct.
Hi, Clay County, Florida, everybody. Today I'm going to do the second part of reading through the Pearson book on all of the things that they are teaching as if it's facts, the way that they state things, the way that they present things to the students. Again, as you heard David Campbell's voice saying, this is what we teach, and this is how they teach it. They teach it as if it's fact. There's very little that we can find in the textbook that indicates that anything about evolution as a whole is merely a theory, is unconfirmed. The way that it's presented, it's presented as if this is the way that it happens. I'm going to read several paragraphs just straight out of the book, and you're going to see that a student who hears these things or reads these things, they're going to come away believing that evolution is fact. I'm going to try to do a little bit less commentary, so this is shorter. So all you're going to get is just me reading it, but pay attention. The way that these texts are presented, they're presented right as facts. So this is the Pearson Biology, Miller and Levine textbook. We're going to go to chapter 19. I'm going to start on page 537 and just kind of thumb through chapter 19. This isn't by any means the whole thing, but it's a significant portion of it. We're going to hit every section and even get into the little back portion of it. So on page 537 it says, just over 250 million years ago, during the Permian period, life on Earth came as close as it has ever come to being wiped out. And you can read the whole page, the whole introductory sidebar here to the chapter. It's stated as if it's fact. There's no disclaimer. There's no ambiguity. Nothing in it indicates that this is something that is not just flat out proven. Throughout this chapter, they're going to use the word ancient. Every time they use the word ancient, the overall context of this chapter and the book implies consistently, constantly, millions of years. And those are spoken of as if they were factual, that it's a known thing, a known fact, that the Earth is millions of years old, if not billions of years old, and they're relentless with that word ancient. And every time they use that word, they assert that the Earth is ancient, that evolution is a fact. Page 538, fossils. The preserved remains or traces of ancient life are priceless treasures. Taken together, the fossils of ancient organisms make up the history of life on Earth, called the fossil record. They ask the question in bold print, what do fossils reveal about ancient life? Page 540, together, the trilobite fossils referenced earlier in the paragraph, can be used to establish the relative dates of rock layers spanning nearly 300 million years, which is their ancient time increment. Page 541. I'm just going to read the last paragraph. It says, older fossils can be dated indirectly by dating the rock layers in which they are found. Isotopes with much longer half-lives are used for this purpose, including potassium-40 with a half-life of 1.26 billion years, uranium-238, 4.5 billion years, and rubidium-87, 48.8 billion years. Over many years, geologists have combined the use of these and other isotope methods to make increasingly accurate estimates of the ages of geological formations. These studies have provided direct physical evidence for the ages of the index fossils used to identify periods of Earth history. And these are referred to over and over and over again, and sticking in the kids' minds as these billions of years and millions of years and these ancient Earth times over which evolution is said to have happened. On page 542, there's a nice pretty chart. You see it right here, presented as if it's fact. And when you look through this chart, you get 4.6 to 4 billion years ago at the bottom, the Hadean eon, and then from 4 billion to 2.5 billion, the Archean eon, and then the Proterozoic, sorry, it's hyphenated, 2.5 billion to 542 million, and then Cambrian is 542 million, Ordovician 488 million, and then 444 million, 46, and there's millions and millions and millions and millions of years. Again, these geological timescales are presented as fact. There isn't any ambiguity to it. There isn't any, well, scientists think, but it's just a theory. They could be wrong about this. No, it's just a relentless, continuous march of facts about how old the Earth is and how evolution took place in over these long periods of times, and it goes all the way back to ancient times. Page 543. It says the Cambrian period, for example, began 542 million years ago and continued until 488 million years ago, which makes it 54 million years long. The Cretaceous period was 80 million years long. These are just statements as if they're statements of fact. There isn't anything here that shows that they're just a theory the way that we were led to believe. So there's a paragraph, second paragraph on page 543. Geologists now recognize 4 eons: the Hadean eon, during which the rocks first formed, spans of time from Earth's formation to about 4 billion years ago; the Archean eon, during which life first appeared, followed the Hadean. The Proterozoic eon began 2.5 billion years ago and lasted until 542 million years ago. And then the Phanerozoic eon began at the end of the Proterozoic and continues to the present. So you have these, it's an explanation of the chart. Every bit of that, the language of it is, it happened, it happened, it happened, it happened. Page 546. It says those extinct species, crocodiles, dinosaurs, which are stated for millions of years ago, and birds, are shown as series of species that descended over time from a line of common ancestors. Well, that idea of common ancestors, you go back to the definition of evolution. The common ancestors is asserted as if it's fact. That's part of evolution. Page 547. The rates at which species appear, adapt, and become extinct vary among clades, and from one period of geological time, which is millions of years as read earlier, to another. A little bit further down, the clade Reptilia includes dinosaurs that thrived for tens of millions of years. One of those groups from Reptilia survives and thrives today. We call them birds. So they're asserting that dinosaurs and birds are related. There's your common ancestors, and that the birds evolved out of the Reptilia, and again asserting evolution as fact. Page 548. After a mass extinction, biodiversity is dramatically reduced, but this is not bad for all organisms. Extinction offers new opportunities to survivors, and as speciation and adaptation produce new species to fill empty niches, biodiversity recovers. But this recovery takes a long time, typically between 5 and 10 million years. Some groups of organisms survive a mass extinction while other groups do not, teaching it as fact. Page 549. It's not surprising then that groups of organisms that survive mass extinctions evolve rapidly in the several million years after the extinction. Page 550. Adaptive radiation in fossil records. Dinosaurs, one of several spectacular adaptive radiations of reptiles, flourished for about 150 million years during the Mesozoic. The fossil record documents that in the dinosaurs' heyday, mammals diversified but remained small. After most dinosaurs became extinct, however, an adaptive radiation of mammals began. That radiation, part of which is shown in figure 1911, produced the great diversity of mammals of the Cenozoic era. As fact. Page 553. This infant planet was very different from Earth today. Earth's early atmosphere contained, not is thought to have contained, not might have contained. Earth's early atmosphere contained little or no oxygen. It was principally composed of carbon dioxide, water vapor, and nitrogen, with lesser amounts of carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, and hydrogen cyanide. If you had been there, a few deep breaths would have killed you. Because of the gases in the atmosphere, the sky was probably pinkish orange, and because the oceans contained lots of dissolved iron, they were brown. This was the Earth on which life began. Page 560 to 563 is the end of the chapter. You go here, and I'll show you a picture of it. You just have this ongoing look at the geological time periods, and these little boxes here are little factoids. And there's this page, and then there's another page of them. Okay, just going to read a couple of those, some of the ones that are more popular. Cambrian period, the very first one. During the Cambrian period, multicellular life experienced its greatest adaptive radiation in what is called the Cambrian explosion. Many species were fossilized during this period because many organisms evolved hard body parts, including shells and outer exoskeletons. Land masses moved in ways that created vast shallow marine habitats. Jawless fishes first appeared. The Cambrian ended with a large mass extinction in which nearly 30% of all animal groups died. And then we got the Permian period on the other side of the page. During the Permian period, invertebrates, vertebrates, and land plants continued to expand over Earth's continents. Reptiles experienced the first several major adaptive radiations, which produced the ancestors of modern reptiles, dinosaurs, and mammals. The Permian period ended with the biggest mass extinction of all time. More than 50% of terrestrial animal families, more than 95% of marine species became extinct. They show us these beautiful artistic renderings of early amphibians. Cretaceous period. During the Cretaceous period, Tyrannosaurus rex roamed the land. While flying reptiles and birds soared in the sky, turtles, crocodiles, and other now extinct reptiles like Plesiosaurus swam among fishes and invertebrates in the seas. Leafy trees, shrubs, and flowering plants emerged and experienced adaptive radiations. The Cretaceous ended with another mass extinction. More than half of all plant and animal groups were wiped out, including all dinosaurs, except the ancestors of modern birds. Every one of these is read the same way. The last one, last page. During the Quaternary period, Earth cooled. A series of ice ages saw thick glaciers advance and retreat over parts of Europe and North America. So much water was frozen in glaciers that sea levels fell by more than 100 meters. Then about 20,000 years ago, Earth's climate began to warm. Over thousands of years, glaciers melted and sea levels rose. In the oceans, algae, coral, mollusks, fishes, and mammals thrived. Insects and birds shared the skies. Land mammals, among them bats, cats, dogs, cattle, and mammoths, became common between 6 and 7 million years ago. One group of mammals began an adaptive radiation that led to the ancestors and close relatives of modern humans. When you read through the book, everything about evolution is taught as fact. The way that it's presented, occasionally you'll have the word hypothesis, occasionally you'll have the word might or could be or scientists believe. Sometimes they even talk about mistakes or side trips that scientists have taken. But in every one of these instances, it's a small part that does not deny the whole of evolution. When evolution is presented, when these ancient eras, these long periods of times are presented, they are always presented as fact. Every time. And that's true in this one. It's true in every biology book that I have ever seen while a teacher. I know because I specifically ask, because obviously it's important to me. I have collected a number of biology textbooks from past schools with permission, and I've seen it in every single one. They teach it as fact, and they're teaching our kids as if it's fact, and that is a violation of the standards. It is a violation of the spirit of the fight that was fought in 2008, and frankly, it's dishonest. It's flat out dishonest the way that it's being presented, and it's purposefully dishonest because they're getting away with teaching things that just flat aren't true. That's the one textbook. It's the Pearson textbook that's currently being used in Clay County. From this point on, I'm going to start examining some things that shows evolution to be false. Each video is going to be a short look at one thing each video, so that we don't get bogged down in a whole bunch of them. You can go to YouTube itself and share the link from YouTube on your page, on like your Facebook page, or on your Google account, or wherever you want to. The YouTube videos are perfectly public. So please do that, share that, get the word out. And I hope you found this beneficial, eye-opening maybe, and we need to keep learning, keep growing. So thank you for your attention, and until next time.